Now then, here we are, start of May. It's a bit of a cloudy day today. I have a feeling that we're going to get some rain, which is great. We could really do with it. But the birds are singing, you know, all the leaf is coming out. It's been a slow spring. We've had that dry, lots of dry, but lots of cold and frost every night. So quite unusual. However, this is Home Life 22, and we'll just crack on, and I hope you enjoy it. So the dry spell has stopped, and of course with the dry and open skies we were getting frost every night, but now the bluebells have come out, which is great. We are the end of the first week of May and the apple blossom is out, quite amazingly so, and that's a cooking apple. And if we look over, there's more in the orchard, but these ones here were out a bit earlier, and I'm a bit concerned that we might not get a good apple crop this year, and I don't think we'll get many plums because of the really heavy frost every night for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But anyway, it will be what it will be, and there's still a few apples in the apple store. So, you know, we're the first week in May and our apple store hasn't quite run out yet. I'm just coming round again, and it's pouring rain, so there might be rain on the lens. The pears, it looks like, well, let's go and have a look. Let's see if some of them are set or not. Well, it sort of looks like we might be in luck for some of them, but time will tell. So you can probably hear the turbine in the background, and we've got a bit of breeze here, but we've got this 1,400 litre LPG tank here. It's passing through, as it were. There's a pump and the right sort of hose to connect to a vehicle. However, to be able to move this on, it needs to be empty of gas, and so what I've done is I've made up an adapter which goes from the car to a propane fitting which has a left-hand thread. So that's the filler port from a car, and then we've got a change to a hydraulic fitting and a piece of hydraulic hose, and then we've got another hydraulic fitting there, and it is brazed. You can't quite see. There we go. That's better. Where are we? So therefore that piece of hydraulic fitting there, that one, which normally fits into a hydraulic hose, I've taken an LPG gas fitting with quite a long bronze or brass extension, put it in the lathe, drilled into it, because it's got a small hole normally, drilled into it and pushed that hydraulic fitting in there and then brazed it up. It's a bit of a blobby braze, but you have to be careful when you're brazing to brass or something like that. Anyway, it worked marvellously. So then you can connect the hose and open the gas bottle tank and pump the gas in. But there is a problem. only put the amount of gas, the weight of gas that the tank says, yeah? Because these tanks will take more than is stipulated on the tank, right? So for this little one here, you could see 11.5 kilos, and the next size up is 19 kilos. So the solution there is to weigh with a set of bathroom scales the empty tank and then start filling it, and they fill quite slowly. I'd say 3 or 4 minutes, but stop. So let's say for instance this tank weighed 10 kilos empty, then you'll stop at 21. That way, if the tank warms up, if it's in a warm place when you're using it, the whole thing won't expand so much that you'll get gas coming out of the threads of the connector there. Yeah, I've actually experienced this, so I know what I'm talking about. So only put in the weight that it says, so you must weigh the bottles as you're filling them. I'll just show you what I mean by filling it up. I'm just plugging it in now. There you go. It's actually virtually empty at the moment, so I'm not leaving it running. So we actually got out of this tank 6 19 kilo LPG bottles, and I do believe there are 2 litres of liquid gas to the kilo, and those 19 kilo bottles at the moment, if you were to go and buy one just for the gas, not for any rent on the bottle or anything like that, would be about £38. So that was worth doing, wasn't it? And that lot will probably last us about 3 years, if not more. Okay, just a bit of an update there. And look, the May blossom is just starting to come out. Not quite in full flower yet. This is quite an early bush, right next to the turbine. So we're just filling these pots up for the tomatoes, and this is well rotted horse manure, really quite thick and moisture retentive, etc. There's a bit of couch grass in it which we'll have to get rid of wherever we can find any, but one plant in one of these big pots, they do very well. So the tomato plants are this sort of size now, so they're ready to get out there and really start bombing on. We are the 2nd week in May. They need to get on. And so yesterday I was able to get the leek plants out. There we are. They're planted fairly deep. That's great, they'll grow on now. This ground has been well mucked, so there's plenty of food for them. You know, and that's for next winter. Grand. The seasons continue. Okay, this is some of the new planting, and that is a spruce which is growing on. We put them in bigger tubes, and another one. I was sent some seed a number of years ago, and there we go, that one's growing on. That looks like a Norway maple. That is a grand fir, and I'm just going to pull that bit of grass out. Right, what else have we got? Another Norway maple that seems to be really going for it, and a larch. This last lot of rain, another Norway maple, has really helped things along. And that is a grand fir and a nettle. So we're going to pull the nettle out. We don't want to encourage that to be growing in there. We'll need some weed control round these shortly. Yeah. Before the weed gets too high. We've got an oak there. Those of you who remember, there's another oak. This was planted. Now I'm not sure what that is. There it is. That might be a foxglove tree or something like that. And another one. And that is a Monterey cypress. So touching wood, which is what I'm doing now, we're all right. These ones in these tubes, or these spirals, I don't know whether you can see in there. Yes, you can. That is alder. Remember all those alders that I grew? There's another alder there. And there's another one there. So we're I'm fairly hopeful of these. I'm just going to stand this one up a bit more. You've got to be really careful when pushing on those canes without gloves on. You can get stabbed very easily. So, all this long line here, I'm very pleased with this. Again, we've got another one that's not quite upright, so we'll just try and straighten that up a bit. And another one. But that one, you see, is bombing along well. And another one in a slightly bigger spiral. And I'm just hoping the deer don't find these. And this thing here, a friend of mine gave me this. and I can't tell, it looks slightly pinkish to me, but it was bare root at the end of November or October or something, and I did plant it out in the glass house. I chopped the top off to prevent too much loss of moisture, and then planted it out, so I'm hoping that will go quite well. It's some form of cypress, I think, but I'm not sure, but it looks a bit of a funny colour, but we shall wait and see. He'd planted it when it was small and it turned out to be in the wrong place, so let's hope. Yeah, and that's an alder that we planted a few years ago, and there's a Scots pine. You know, the new shoots are 5 inches long, which is great. There's a tube there that was unsuccessful from a previous plant. Oh no, there's something happening in there. Yeah, I don't know whether you can see, I can't really see in this viewfinder in this strong sun, but that looks like it's happening. Another Scots pine here, and we've got an air jets coming over. There we go, that's better. The viewfinder has brightened up. It must have gone into some power saving thing, but that's a Wellantonia, and that must be 8 foot tall now, so I'm pleased about that. Beautiful day. They talk about rain later on, but we've had some decent rain, which is great. It'll get these trees growing. And this here, let me stand back, that's a Monterey cypress. I think I bought it when I was at the right place at the right time, and there's just a car going by, but it was 3 foot high not many years ago now. Monterey cypress, they like to crack on. And here we've got a sweet chestnut, and a beech, and a bit more new planting. Yep, that's going for it. I think that is actually a holm oak. No, this is a holm oak, and I'm not sure whether these, we shall see whether those survive or not. They'd self-set in the wrong place, we had to move them on. So yes, beautiful day. The new planting at the moment, and we're talking, where are we talking, mid-May now, seems to be alright. And here we had some of these birch down. Why? Power lines. Yeah, the power people said, can you just trim those down, otherwise they'll do it. And I thought, nah, it's alright, I'll do that. And I've cut them off at about 4 feet. I've done it once before, and hopefully they'll regrow in amongst all this blackthorn thicket, which makes things a bit difficult. And that there is a cherry plum, and so is that one. From cuttings from down the road, there's a playing field, and there used to be a memorial hall next to it, a wooden one, wartime or before there probably, and probably after the First World War. but somebody in their great wisdom, and we're not talking sarcastic here, they must have collected all the different types of cherry plum and bullace trees, which are a bit like a plum. There's another sweet chestnut and a beech. Anyway, they'd obviously collected them and grown them on and planted them all the way round. So in the late autumn, mid-autumn, whatever, there's loads and loads of cherry plums there, red ones and yellow ones, and it's marvellous. That's when people really got involved in their local community. Looks like a deer's been at that. Look, the leading shoot's gone already. The deer come down here. In the winter you can really see a marked path, because there's a piece of woodland over the back there that was planted, I'm not sure, 20 odd years ago, 25 years ago. And of course this now is a proper wildlife corridor. So we got the woodland over there and a piece of effectively low impact agriculture, and then we come round, and where the turbine is, it's horses, so that's grassland, and then next door where that pylon is, that's sort of few trees and horses, and then across the road we've got trees. Then there's an agricultural field of about 8 acres, and then there's us. So it's quite a large area now. Look what the deer have done. Just typical. I don't know whether that'll survive. It might do if they don't attack it anymore. But just, and that is a western red cedar. I hope it does survive, because I do like those trees. Anyway, let's just crack on. The meadow itself, perhaps after this, we've had a week of rain and we're going to have another week of rain, perhaps this grass will grow on a bit better. Yeah, we want it to be thigh height, as it were, or 6 inches above knee height. Ready for hay cutting, and I think, oh, there was a kestrel. I can't see in the viewfinder. Just going over the hedge now, along the hedge, and off towards that, there we go, off towards the turbine. I don't know whether you can see that. Anyway, that'll do. And just as we're coming to the gate, here's the comfrey, and the comfrey flowers are just coming out. I think I mentioned this last year when I was creosoting this gate. The bumblebees will be here soon. So this switch has been annoying me for a while. It feels a bit crunchy, but it was second hand in 1989. So I think it's done quite well, it being 2021 now. And you know, it was alright, but I've got some LED lights in here, and they're LED spots, and if you didn't switch it on quick enough, the LED lights would start flashing. So that's what was the annoying bit, and it just felt rather indeterminate, and it's pretty wobbly, but so I've had to change it. So there you go. Even second-hand stuff wears out in the end. I suppose new stuff wears out a lot quicker. Right, that's another little job that I got on with whilst it's a bit rainy and miserable. Okay, we're in the veg plot, and these are a few remaining leeks, and that's a green woodpecker again in the background. We're going to keep these, I think. As you can see, one is starting to produce a flower spike, and so we'll keep those for seed. In the plot behind that, those leeks that I planted, I don't know, earlier on this month, less than 14 days ago, they're really starting to motor on. Yeah, and then we've got the garlic, which is great. In front here there is what's left of the parsnips, which again they're going to be left to go to seed, to collect seed. On that plot at the end there, it was going to be squashes and pumpkins, but we've changed our mind just because of the logistics and the fact that it's actually a reasonably late season because of all that cold and frost. Anyway, I'm putting up the bean poles. There we go. And these poles have been sat underneath one of the Monterey pines, upright against one of the stems, underneath the canopy all winter. So they're not bad. They'll do for another year at least. So I'm just going to crack on with that frame. And then the green beans, which are, you saw earlier on as quite small plants, they're really again motoring on, so they need to come out. So we're hardening those off by bringing them out every day out of the glass house, and they'll be planted here. And as you can see, I put loads of muck and compost in there, so they've got plenty of feed and they'll grow away nicely, and within, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, something like that, we shall hopefully have some fresh small green beans. The strawberries, whilst we're here, have had a bad time. Yeah, they've been constantly nibbled by things. Let me just see if I can see in this viewfinder. There's one, there's another one. Nibble, nibble, nibble. I've had to put a bit more wire fencing up here because of the deer and stuff like that. So they were only moved there this year from somewhere else, so perhaps they won't do that well. But the runners that I saved from moving these and put in pots are in the glass house in that big tub, and there's fruit starting to form on those, which is great. So hopefully, if I can keep this strawberry patch clean of weeds, which we're sort of halfway there, hopefully next year we shall get a good crop of strawberries off that lot. Anyway, I'm just going to crack on with the bean poles. It's all part of the seasons and the cycles. And I'm just checking the valve clearances on this new engine in the new car, well, new to me. And although it's got lots of Honda stamps in the book, it looks like this rocker cover has never been off. It's got 60,000 miles on it, and all the clearances are tight. Some of them I can't even get the correct feeler gauge in there. So I'm going to have to go through the lot. It says something about main dealers, I suspect, but beyond that, I think Ave calls them stealerships. But never mind, we'll get it done and then we can be reliant upon it. They come over the woods frequently, and they're really difficult to capture on video. Really difficult, especially with the sun behind me, so I can't see in this screen. Anyway, buzzards, marvellous. 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, you wouldn't have seen anything like that around here. It was a dead landscape. Not anymore. Let's just have a look. See here, it's a bit of a long shot. Somebody's roosting underneath the hedge by the apple tree in the front garden. It's a bit of a grey day today, but looky here. This is one of those wood ant hills, and it's the best part of 8 foot across. It's quite a beast. So I'm just topping the batteries up again. They've got a little bit low. But they're not bad. They're not bad at all. At least the plates aren't, or the electrolyte level is not below the level of the plates. The separators stick up above the plates, so as soon as the separators are showing above the level of electrolyte, then you really need to get on with it. So this is why we have a dehumidifier running, A, to keep a certain place dry, but also to provide us with sufficient quantities of distilled water. So I'll continue with this, but you know, these batteries, they need a wipe on the top now, but they were second hand. There might be 15 years ago they were second hand, so we're extending their life considerably through several techniques. One of them is looking after them, the other one is never reducing their specific gravity below 1150, and of course with a wind and solar system, if you've got sufficient battery packs, which we've got 4 now, then you're not drawing as much current out of them as you would with a forklift. You know, I think the maximum we're drawing out of each of these packs will be somewhere in the region of about 15 to 20 amps, and you know, if there's 4 packs, that represents 4 kilowatt, 20 amps, 4 packs. So no, we'll probably draw less than that. Anyway, I am in mind of there's a song by Hawkwind which says, and all you leave behind is shadows in No, that's wrong. And all you leave behind is footsteps in the sand of time. And it's about leaving things in a better condition than when you came across them or had to work with them, or any of those sort of phrases. Now, you know, big business, corporate entities and government, they don't seem to have that in mind, that actually, you know, history will judge them. And there's many a politician and business person who is being judged now for actions 50, 100 years ago. So we just got to be aware, and you know, each with their own little bit. It's reducing consumption and it's reducing your impact on the environment. And if you can do, make a positive statement. Like we planted woods in 1988, and new woods capture about 8 tons of CO2 per hectare per year as an average over the first 100 years. Yeah? And I've said this before, an existing woodland has a sort of, within reason, a level content of carbon over, say, 100 years, whereas a new wood is actually doing a huge amount of benefit. It's capturing carbon, it's providing habitat, it's not being chemically farmed, yeah, to the detriment of the soil and wildlife and the greater environment. So there you go, little bit of a rant, but you know, it starts at home. Everybody did their bit and didn't go trawling off to foreign places on holiday just because they've got a miserable job, you know, and they can't stick their job, so they've got to go on holiday. It's about grabbing hold of your life and doing something about it. So there you go. It's almost the end of May. It's a grey day, and we've had a couple of wet weeks really, which, as I said earlier, are a benefit at the moment, especially the newly planted trees. Solar power's been down, but it's still been more than sufficient because of the longer days. I mean, we're getting dark now after 9 o'clock in the evening. It's great, but as I said to somebody recently, yeah, whatever your age, you've only got a limited number of summers before you're toast. So therefore, enjoy them, reflect on them, absorb them, take that 5 or 10 minutes to go, do you know what? It's lovely at the moment, because it won't be long before it'll be winter again. Yeah, and the number of summers goes down yet again. So hopefully you've enjoyed this little bit of a review of what's happening in May. There's been various other videos popped in the interim. The Lister PK generator, that's still a project rolling on in the background. There was that little bit about the LPG gas cylinder, which from what I'm being told is being exported to Nigeria. Yeah, rather than being scrapped, it's being used again. So that goes along with the policy, and the gas that was in it will be used in a sensible way. Whereas if it had gone off, it could quite well be that the tank would have been just opened up and the gas left to disappear into the atmosphere, which, you know, I'm sure that happens a lot. It's a very bad thing. But some people, you know, it's like money is all that matters. Yeah, just short-termism. I'm not going to get into that rant again because I did a long video about that about 1.5 years ago, about resilience and reducing your impact. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Give us some comments if you're motivated to do so, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. Cheers for now.